There's one aspect of mixing that a lot of people overlook or kind of just, brush off or breeze by as something just part of the process, not too important. But I'm here to show you that it actually is pretty important for a lot of genres, and it can really add groove to your song or take away from the groove if you do it wrong. So let's talk about it. Yo, what's good, guys? Inswain with Inswain Audio. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, subscribe and stick around because I drop gems like this every single day. You don't want to miss them, I'm telling you. Anyways, let's get into it. So this trick is going to work for really any genre, but specific songs within those genres. Like, it really works good with trap beats or pop production that's inspired by hip hop. Really anything with those fast sprinkler, I call them, they sound like sprinkler, those kind of hi-hats. Any song with a lot of hi-hats, even rock songs with a fast hi-hat pattern, anything with a lot of hi-hat action, this is going to apply to. And this has to do with mixing the hi-hats, something that you don't hear people talk about a lot or at all, really. It's just kind of something like set it and forget it, but it's actually really important in terms of your groove. Now, what I have here pulled up is a beat that I produced. I'm going to play you a little clip of it and just listen to it, and then I'm going to break this down. So let's check it out. So you might have noticed the hi-hats are mixed pretty loud, at least for traditional mixing standards. This is pretty typical of trap beats though, and that's for the reason that I'm about to explain. The hi-hat is where all of the groove comes from in a lot of these songs, right? It's a consistent and staccato sound, meaning consistent, meaning it's driving, it keeps going, it's tss, and staccato means short, like it's not like a long carried out note, it's like short and fast. And this is what gives us the rhythm, and it helps the listener to find the downbeat. And what made me think of this is, let's listen to the intro of this beat. This is not staccato. These notes carry out. And listen to the horns in the intro. Right, so that's kind of the opposite. Now, what made me think of this is when something is like that and it's more free-flowing and free-form, it can be hard for the listener to find the downbeat, to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? Like to find where that idea or that bar restarts. Whereas something like hi-hats where it's like right? It's almost like a metronome. It's much easier to follow to. And that's why it's so important to have your hi-hats mixed accordingly, because that's going to point the listener to the groove. It's almost like holding the listener's hand and saying, here's the groove, here's how you bob your head, here's how you move and dance to this song. It can also add swing, push, pull, feel, humanization, rhythm, all of these things, little micro rhythms, all these things come from the hi-hat pattern. And that's why it's important to make sure that you don't mix them too low. Now, obviously, if they're too loud, they're distracting, especially in music like this, modern trap style stuff, because it's so fast. And like, if you listen to the hi-hat pattern, there's a lot of information. Right? They're busy. There's a lot going on. So if you mix it too loud, especially because it's a fast, abrasive, and almost harsh sound, it's going to be distracting. So you don't want to go too loud, but a lot of people want to mix them quiet because of traditional, classic rock, these things. The hi-hats weren't mixed too loud. So it's a bad habit that a lot of people have to always mix them too quiet. Now, there's a time and place for that, but sometimes you want to turn them up because that's what's going to give you the rhythm and the groove and help the listener follow along. So listen to this one more time and listen to the level of the hi-hat and how it's helped driving that song and showing you how to dance. And then I'll play it without the hi-hat and notice how you lose all of that. So you notice as soon as I take the hi-hat away, it feels sparse. And obviously this is a pretty empty arrangement as it is, but that's not the point. The point is when you lose the hi-hat, you lose that rhythm and the groove. And then as soon as you bring it back, your head starts bobbing, you can feel it again. And that is because that's the hi-hat doing its job. And particularly it's mixed relatively loud in this song. And I did that on purpose. So watch what happens if I were to say turn the hi-hat way down and do a more traditional style, how it's going to do the same thing, but it's not going to have quite as strong of an effect. Let's check that out. So when you do a more traditional, leveling approach to the hi-hat, like you would hear in like classic rock or something, it just doesn't work as well. And I'm not saying that that's wrong or it's not as good. I'm just saying in these types of songs, and like I said, pop songs that have kind of trap production, it's really important that you make your hi-hat nice and up front, because that's where the groove comes from. Especially in something like this where we only have one melodic thing playing, the horns, and it's hard to kind of follow along with the timing of them, especially to someone that's not trained in music. They're going to kind of get lost. They're not going to know where the downbeat is, where to clap their hands, right? You've seen this before where people are clapping along to a song and they're clapping on the wrong part of the beat. That's another story. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but there you have it, guys. Don't mix your hi-hats too low. Don't overlook them and just kind of set them and forget them. They're really important to the groove, and it's something that not a lot of people talk about. So spend some, extra time and care on your hi-hats and make sure that they're sitting right. So there you have it, guys. Let me know down in the comments below how you're feeling about this, if you want to implement it. And also start, when you're listening to music now, listen to like trap, pop, new stuff that has hi-hats like this. Whenever you hear it, listen to the level of the hi-hat. And you're going to notice that it's probably a little bit louder than you've ever realized. And that's part of it. So there you have it, guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Anyways, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow in Swain with Swain Audio. Peace.